So you have now completed your emergency plan for your family. How about a plan for this family member? Protect your pets during a disaster by including them in your family's emergency plan. Start by making your pet a disaster kit. Put all paperwork into a large Ziploc bag, including a picture of you and your pet, your contact information, vaccination information, and special care instructions. In addition, you should pack certain items to help your pet during the emergency. A 7-day supply of food with bowls, a travel crate, and your pet's favorite toy. Remember, shelters are the place of last resort. Your plan should include being far away from the disaster's epicenter. But if you do find yourself at the shelter, know the rules. Once at the shelter, your pet will be placed in a designated animal section. This is for your pet's safety, as well as other shelter residents. Knowing the shelter rules helps everyone stay safe during an emergency. For more information about shelters, their location, rules, and how to get ready for a disaster, go to hcfl.gov/staysafe.
These are the jobs you may not see every day, but just know we're working hard to make Hillsborough County a better place to live, work, and play. Subscribe to our YouTube page for more great county-related videos, only on HTV.
Tampa Bay is like no place else.
Wait, you can't recycle the bag. You have to throw it away.
Proper recycling keeps it that way for everyone. Bags tangle in machinery and can bring sorting efforts to a halt.
No bags.
Trash the bags and keep our recycling program moving forward.
No, Mom, look, no plastic bags.
Do your part to keep our recycling bag-free. Trash the tanglers or return them to participating retailers. For more information, visit tampabayrecycles.org.
Don't let mosquitoes ruin your day. Fight the bite by removing standing water on your property. Standing water of any kind is a breeding ground for mosquitoes. Do your part and help reduce the mosquito population.
Visit hcfl.gov/fightthebite.
Oh man, here comes Arnie again.
Check this out.
What's up, Arnie?
What are you doing? You made a mess in my hallway.
Let me help you.
You don't need superpowers to be a hero. Help make Hillsborough bully-free.
Hey, would you do me a favor? Grab your phone or smart device and open up that camera. Then point it right here at the QR code. Do you have it? I'll wait a second. When you see the link pop up on your screen, give it a tap. You ready? Boom! Welcome to the Hillsborough County official YouTube channel. We've got all sorts of videos here, all about what makes our community such an awesome place. From local events and community highlights to what's in the perfect Cuban sandwich. We've got it all. We're always adding new things, so while you're here, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you'll never miss a new video. Here's that QR code again, just in case you missed it. Go ahead and check it out. Ooh. This must have fallen out of that video. This really is the perfect Cuban sandwich.
Good evening and welcome to the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners' first budget public hearing. Before we get started, I want to read into the record from Commissioner Gwen Myers. Due to another commitment, I will need to attend the reference meeting virtually on Thursday, September 12th. The purpose of tonight's public hearing on the budget is to take public comment on millage rates and the budget prior to the board approving 2 resolutions setting tentative millage rates and a tentative budget for fiscal year 25. The millage rates and budget will be adopted Thursday, September 19th after a final budget public hearing. In a moment, the budget director will read into the record the increase in the aggregate fiscal year 25 tentative millage rate from the rollback rate. We will also receive a brief discussion regarding the status of the tentative budget, after which we will take public comment. At the conclusion of public comment tonight, the board will discuss any potential changes to the budget. I would like to remind the board members and the public that we will not be voting on any changes to the budget tonight. Any changes will occur during our second or final budget public hearing next week. And this is basically a legal requirement that any ad changes would cause our ads, which will run on Sunday per the Florida statute, to incorrectly represent our tentative millage rates and or tentative budget, thus causing a violation of the related Florida statutes. And again, that's been consistent with how we've handled things in the past. So before turning things over to Mr. Bricky, I'd ask our County Administrator Bonnie Wise to make some opening remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I was going to reiterate many of the things that you already just mentioned, but tonight is the first of 2 budget public hearings. This is required by state statute. This evening, you'll hear a budget update from our budget director, Kevin Bricky. You will take public comment, discuss the budget, adopt the fiscal year 25 tentative millage rates and tentative budget resolution, and announce the details of the second budget public hearing, which will be a week from today, Thursday, September 19th. Tonight's public hearing was announced on the notice of proposed property taxes sent to parcel owners in August by the property appraiser's office. Next week's second budget public hearing will be advertised in the newspaper on Sunday. These ads will include the tentative millage rates and tentative budget approved tonight. In order to have these ads in the paper, we have already submitted them to the newspaper for processing within the paper's time requirements. Therefore, we'd ask the board to please not take any votes tonight on the proposed budget changes. These changes would cause our ad to incorrectly represent our tentative millages and or tentative budget, thus causing a violation of the related Florida statutes. However, please discuss any proposed changes that you would like to be considered. Any changes proposed tonight will be gathered for final consideration at next Thursday's public hearing, where the board will vote at that time and adopt the final millages and budget for fiscal year 25. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our budget director, Kevin Bricky, who will read the required information into the record and give a brief presentation.
Hold on one second, Kevin. Commissioner Wilson, do you want to make a comment?
Just a point of information that we can take a vote to direct the county administrator to present alternative budget options during the public hearing next week. Is that correct?
Yes.
County Attorney Beck, thank you very much.
Yes. Okay, Kevin.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. Kevin Bricky, Management and Budget. The calculated change in the tentative aggregate millage represents a 3.02% increase from the aggregate rollback rate. State law requires that we also describe the reason for the increase over the rollback rate. The budget under consideration tonight reflects in part normal, as well as recently heightened inflationary increases in the cost of doing business. It also reflects the need to provide local government services to a growing population, which includes ongoing funding for transportation and fire rescue services, statutory and contractual commitments, union contracts, some technology upgrades, constitutional officers, and other certain county needs. Commissioners, the tentative budget that you will vote on tonight reflects the county administrator's recommended budget for FY25, as amended by updates and corrections that have been made since the recommended budget was delivered on July 17th. The FY25 tentative budget is balanced. Additionally, the county continues to maintain its general obligation AAA bond rating, and the tentative budget you will vote on tonight reflects investments that are consistent with strategic focus. With that, I'll look at, there we go. So looking at the environment that the FY25 budget is built around, inflation has declined some from the recent high rates. It's still elevated. It was 2.9% in July. Yesterday, I believe there was some information for August, 2.6%. It remains above the Federal Reserve's target of 2%. Taxable value growth has decelerated a bit for FY25 at about 6.8% compared to 11.7% for FY24. And recurring revenues remained constrained as well. We've had some increases also in with rising jail populations and law enforcement needs. Our fire rescue contract expires at the end of the fiscal year, and there's some new government mandates that have come down from the Florida Retirement System and the Fair Labor Standards Act, which is a federal law. We continue to retain our AAA credit rating. Our reserves in the tentative budget are 23.7% within board policy. We recently completed the OPAGA audit for the upcoming CIT referendum and had good results there. And our overall millage rate in the unincorporated area remains the same as FY24. There are some in budget investments. This is a long list. These concentrate in public safety, fire rescue, law enforcement, transportation, and parks improvements. The budget does incorporate a millage swap of 0.1 mils between the countywide and unincorporated area funds, a reduction countywide of 0.1, an increase unincorporated 0.1. Which provides the unincorporated fund with additional funding for public safety and transportation. The reduction in the county-wide millage, that was offset in part by using indigent health care funds to fund inmate care that the sheriff operates with, and also a portion of the fire rescue department budget in the unincorporated fund. We have a number of new fire initiatives, fire rescue initiatives, and rescue service initiatives within the budget as well. There are a number of things that we deal with every year in the budget: employee compensation, inflationary impacts, reserve maintenance, emergency reserve balances, and constitutional budget requests. The tentative budget is $10.339 billion. That's a $1.3 billion increase. A little bit less than half of that is transfers. Those are accounting transactions and moving dollars among funds from restricted to other areas. The FY25 tentative budget, as I said, is $10.339 billion. The operating portion is just short of $4 billion, and over half of that is accounted for in public safety, our enterprise funds, water, solid waste, and healthcare services. The general fund, the countywide general fund, funding services to all county residents, $1.56 billion. The fund, 55% of that fund is funding constitutional and other agencies. Unincorporated fund, the tentative budget is $829 million, and 68% of that fund funds public safety, sheriff, and fire rescue. Our capital budget is just over $2 billion. Water accounts for 38%, transportation 21%. There are a number of budget considerations, or a handful at least, of budget considerations for the board to look at through September 19th, the second budget public hearing. Additional flags that are continuing from or taking off from the July 31 budget reconciliation. The 3 community projects that were identified during the July 31st budget reconciliation. That would be the Tampa Metropolitan YMCA, healthcare, workforce, affordable housing, and the Grace Point Mariposa Women's Psychiatric Hospital. I would mention that the HOPE dollars, the $10 million transferred from the unincorporated, from the countywide operating fund to the HOPE fund, is still included in the tentative budget per the ordinance. This is small print. It's the July 31 approved flags that you approved during the budget reconciliation. We have been gathering and continue to gather potential flags for the September 19th public hearing and the related background and information to that, which will be part of the package, that agenda package that will be coming out very soon. We're near the end of the budget calendar for the budget process. After tonight, as Bonnie and the chair said, we do have one more public hearing on September 19th where you'll adopt the final budget and the final millage rates. And with that, Mr. Chair, I would recommend that you accept public comment at this time.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Board members, consistent with past meetings when we've had a large number of speakers, I'd recommend that we give each speaker 2 minutes, and if we can have a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Cohen. Do we have a second? Second, Commissioner Wostel. Please record your vote.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-1. Commissioner Kemp voted no.
Okay, the first three speakers this evening is Gerald White, followed by Angel D'Angelo, who's virtual, and then Mary Marks. Good evening, Mr. White. It wouldn't be a budget public hearing without you being the first speaker.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Gerald White, Hillsborough County community activist. To my Commissioner Myers, good to hear your voice. Well, I guess the first thing I have to say is, hey, keep hope alive. If you look at the audience, it's clear that the citizens continue to speak out on housing here in Hillsborough County, and it's good to see the $10 million in their fund. But never stop hearing the cry of the people and answering the concerns of the citizens. I support the community investment tax. I want to get that on the record. And I want to encourage every citizen to support it as well. The CIT, the community investment tax that will be on this November's ballot, is critically important for the citizens and all the residents of Hillsborough County. African American Art and Culture Center, that's kicking up and going. I support Commissioner Myers' effort with that. Continue to give her support and the funding she needs to bring that to full fruition. I just want to mention Hillsborough County schools. They closed a black school, the Sylvia Rodriguez Kimball School, that's named after a county commissioner. That school, only 16 years old. Deeply disappointed that they closed that school. And I really would encourage the Justice Department to look into what's going on with Hillsborough County and closing black schools. Deeply troubled. They're asking for money. How can they ask the black people for money when they're closing our schools? I'm troubled by that. It'll be very difficult for me to vote for a tax increase for the school system when they're closing black schools. Thank you, Bonnie Wise. Thanks, County Attorney. Continue the great work. I'm pleased with the budget. I remember years ago it was a small amount. Now we're what? In the billions. So Hillsborough County is doing something right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. White. We've got Angel D'Angelo, virtual, followed by Mary Marks in person, and Cameron Pressey, virtual. Angel?
Hello, my name is Angel D'Angelo, born and raised here in Hillsborough County, Florida. I just want to speak on the budget. We have a lot of needs here in Hillsborough County that have been addressed throughout the last couple of years, primarily housing. So I'm deeply disappointed to hear how much was cut from groups like HOPE, and I hope to see that actually increased. We need to support housing. We need to support small businesses, among other things. For this reason, I also think we should question why we're donating or we're putting tax dollar money into the Florida Israeli Business Accelerator, which is supporting foreign businesses and not local businesses. We have so many needs here. That $100,000 could go to so many other things, housing, local businesses, the schools, as mentioned previously. So I'm urging this county commission to veto that line item and invest that money elsewhere and reprioritize our budget back to the Hillsborough County residents. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mary Marks. Is Ms. Marks here? And followed by Cameron Pressey and then Deborah Bream. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Mary Marks. I am here on behalf of CARE Florida. Thank you. I appreciate that. As someone who's new to Tampa and Florida in the last 2 years, I'm still getting to know my elected officials. I'm an unaffiliated voter who's voted for multiple parties, and I wanted to share my thoughts with you on the budget as we look to who we would like to support in the coming year and our partnership with the county. It's my understanding that several of you are identified with Christianity. My daughter just informed me there's about 140 days until Christmas, so we have that to look forward to. Both political parties recently put out their political platforms, and specifically the Republican Party espoused their desire to support American-made goods, expand jobs to Americans, and support American businesses. I believe several of you have spoken to that effect in the last year in public comments and just in your support of American businesses here in Tampa Bay, and we really appreciate that. So I am here to voice my concern about the Florida Israel Business Accelerator, as well as the renewal of $100,000. I believe this is the 4th consecutive year, or the 5th, if I'm not mistaken. So I pulled up the Republican platform that was published online, and it states, "For decades, our politicians sold our jobs and livelihoods to highest bidders overseas with unfair trade deals and a blind faith in the siren song of globalism." It goes on to say, "Common sense tells us clearly that if we don't have domestic business and manufacturing, not only will our economy and our military equipment and supplies be at the mercy of foreign nations, but our towns and people cannot thrive. This is the plan that promises to bring American jobs to American companies." Number 5 on the platform is "Stop outsourcing."
Thank you, Ms. Marks. Appreciate it. Cameron Pressey, virtual, followed by Debbie Bream and then Dan Kreiser.
I just got the notification I'm unmuted. My name is Cam Pressey. I'm a resident of Tampa, zip 33614. I'm here to talk tonight about some of the same issues I've actually already heard. As a homeowner, or rather as a tenant here in Tampa, I'm concerned about the lack of affordable housing and the lack of options, therefore. So while there's some money allocated in this budget towards affordable housing, I don't think it's enough, and I am alarmed about the cuts that have been made by this county commission. So I would encourage you to invest the maximum amount of money in housing and affordable housing as possible here in the county. In addition to that, I am extremely concerned that the county is currently allocating money to the Florida Israeli Business Accelerator, otherwise known as FIBA. I think it's ridiculous that money is being sent to foreign businesses and foreign governments when that money should be here helping our small businesses and helping our Hillsborough community residents with things like such as housing. So in addition to that, I am quite alarmed about the massive amount that's being spent on quote unquote public safety, otherwise, known as money going to the sheriff's department. I find it appalling that hundreds of millions of dollars are going to this public safety while programs like housing are cut. I'd like to remind everyone that, to reduce crime, we need to reduce housing insecurity and give folks the resources they need to have a house over their head, to get a job, to keep their businesses running, etc. So I'd encourage the county commissioners to veto the line item about FIBA investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in Israeli businesses. And I'd also encourage the county commissioners to reallocate some of the funds that are currently allocated towards public safety towards housing programs, to the HOPE program, as well as others to actually help Hillsborough residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pressey. Debbie Bream, Debbie here? Okay, then followed by Dan Kreiser and Justin LaRosa. Good evening.
Okay. Okay, hello. My name's Debbie Brim, and I've been a resident in Hillsborough County for my entire life of 66 years, and I'm currently an active member at Waters Avenue Church in Tampa. And as a constituent, I have what I'd like to call tonight a special influence, standing here speaking and believing while promoting my request for the affordable housing to be kept, the $10 million to be kept in that account. In the budget. And I encourage you all to take a moment just to hear and listen more about how you will impact our neighbors in need of housing in our Hillsborough County community. Together, we all play a part in defending the vital places where a lot of people, like families with babies and young children, the elderly, widows, unemployed, are all vulnerable people in need of help with affordable housing, so that Hillsborough County can preserve a rich diversity for future generations. We at Hope are counting on the tender mercy and compassion of the BOCC members to please keep the $10 million in the FY25 budget for affordable housing, as it will allow our community to be proactive versus reactive to issues that arise over time. One of the most important things you can do tonight is listen closely to everything that I am not saying. And I feel like this. You'll understand when you're older. That's what I've been told. Well, however, I am older and I don't understand, okay? And especially about the FY25 budget, I know that you all have your thing, and there's rules and regulations, and I just heard someone say, don't cross oceans for people who wouldn't cross puddles for you, and which I thought was good advice. But then someone else said, no, do it. Do cross oceans for people. Love all people. No conditions attached. No wondering whether or not they're worthy or not. Cross oceans, climb mountains. Life and love isn't about what you gain, it's about what you give. So I changed my mind, and I hope you do too.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Appreciate your comments. Dan Kreiser. And then Justin LaRosa, followed by Ron Weaver. Good evening.
Thank you for your time listening to me. I just want to make a couple points. In the neighborhood area that I live in, of course, I'm not wanting to pay more taxes for property tax, but there are 78 new homes within 5 years. Within the last 2 years, there have been 56 of those new homes. And our property tax rate is in the top 12% in the nation. I would like to see it go down. There are currently 1,384 new construction homes for sale right now in Hillsborough County. There is going to be an increase in revenue from these sales of these new homes. And that is the points I would like to make. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Justin LaRosa, then Ron Weaver, and then Lois Bryce. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to talk. My name is Justin LaRosa. I'm one of the ministers at Hyde Park United Methodist Church. I serve as the Portico Downtown and as Hope's co-affordable housing chair. I implore you, keep the $10 million in. I was glad to see that it was in. Last year, we took $8 million away from it. And so I wondered, I reflected, I could give you a bunch of numbers and why SHIP doesn't pay for X, Y, and Z and this and that. But I was thinking about how did we get here? And by here, I mean in an affordable housing crisis, we're taking money away from affordable housing. So I thought about it for a little bit. And I could be wrong, but here's what I came up with. Number one, suspicion. We got a sea of purple shirts here, and not all of you trust us because you don't know us. So get to know us. We're going to send each of you, each of the commissioners and the aides, a short little video so you can know who we are. Because I think suspicion is built. I will say Commissioner Owen didn't really know about us, and he was willing to meet with us and engage with us, and I greatly appreciated that. Number two, politics. I think politics has something to do with this. Maybe the incoming commissioners didn't like what the previous. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Or maybe you're being fed other things. I have no idea. Number three, misunderstanding. I think we are here talking about getting rid of money in affordable housing because of misunderstanding. And I know there's misunderstanding because we received emails from your aides that don't understand about all of the money and where it goes and how much is actually spent for units of affordable housing. So let's get some understanding together around that. So no matter of whether it was suspicion, no matter whether it was politics, no matter whether it was misunderstanding, people are suffering. And we need this money, and we need you to support it, and we're counting on you, and I know you're going to do the right thing, and I'm grateful for it. I can't wait to work with you.
Thank you, sir.
Amen.
Ron Weaver.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well done, Pastor Justin. This shirt is purple underneath, and yes, we must keep that we must restore that $10 million for affordable housing. But I rise instead tonight to use this budget and the next couple of crucial decisions like yes votes on November 5th on the community investment tax, the CIT, and the one additional mill absolutely necessary for the school system salaries to keep up with the salaries of nearby counties that have $6,000 more for their new teachers. But this budget and its implementation must start a learning and mobility renaissance that is 25 years delayed by our lack of courage and by judicial interference in our getting on with the business of a learning and a mobility renaissance. Why both? Not just a mobility renaissance, but a learning and mobility renaissance, that when something comes up with the school board, we work together instead of apart or litigating it. You've taken the CIT down from 25% for schools like it was for 30 years down to only 5%, which means the school board is not being greedy in keeping up with other counties where there's a $6,000 advantage to new teachers. We must have that one mill as a part of the learning and the mobility renaissance. We must, within the next 6 years, create a score. That's within 6 years, a Carrollwood over to Ruskin Express, either dedicated bus lanes or rail in order, and at first year free, just like the city council's $1.5 million to make the first year of the downtown bus rapid transit from downtown to USF free in order to get folks to finally solve the transportation problems that we have put off for 25 years by a lack of funding courage, by judicial interference, and a failure to cooperate with the school board in order to assure that this county within 6 years also achieves at least a 30% improvement in its third grade reading achievement, which is the key factor in success, and that we must therefore put all of our pieces together if we're going to get on with the absolutely urgently needed learning and mobility renaissance. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Lois Price, followed by Kendall Perez, and then a Humira Avzal. Good evening, Ms. Price.
Good evening. I am Lois Price. I'm a board member of Hope, and I live in West Chase. Each year, each of our member congregations holds small group meetings where we ask questions like, what keeps you up at night? The stories that we hear represent the needs of thousands of our county's residents. Since 2012, we have heard heart-wrenching stories from people who were forced to move, often to substandard housing, or to cut back on food or prescribed medications in order to pay their rent. When they renew their lease, some tenants find that the rent has gone up by $300 a month or more. Just one example. For the last several months of her life, my mother lived in assisted living. I keep in touch with the nurses' aides who took care of her, and I've heard that almost all of the aides who took care of her have moved from this county because they can't afford to live here. Sorry. Sure, in our small group meetings, we also hear from property owners who are concerned about their property taxes, but not one of them would be forced to move or forgo needed medical treatment because their property taxes were increased by $30 or $50 that might be required to continue allocating $10 million annually for the Hope Affordable Housing Fund. What would homeowners do if all the service workers in this county left because they couldn't afford to live here? Turning our backs on affordable housing crisis by indiscriminately slashing $10 million from the budget would be not only ill-advised, but irresponsible and short-sighted. It would ignore the needs of thousands of our county's residents, and I urge you to keep the $10 million in the budget. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Price. Kendall Perez, followed by Humira Avzal and Lauren King. Good evening.
Hi, I'm Kendall Perez. I'm a homeowner in Apollo Beach. And I'm here to say, maybe you should look at the waste instead of trying to put taxes on the homeowners. I'm retired. I worked all my life, paid my taxes since I was 14, never got any handouts, nothing free. And I'm trying to live my American dream, and you people are trying to take it away. Because all I get are high insurance rates for my home, I get flood insurance is doubling, insurance for the car is tripling, and now you just want to add tax on top of tax. I'm tired of it. You're not taking away my American dream. I worked my butt off. I worked 2 jobs and I went to college to make my dream and planned my family. And you want to take it from me? I might get put out of my house. So why should I pay for other people? There's federal funds, state funds, and the Sadowski Fund. Why do I have to bear all of the burden for other people when I put in my dues, I paid my money, and now you're bleeding me? You're leeches. The developers are leeches. They're coming to you. You keep giving in to them. Look out for us. The developers are making a lot of money. You cut this land size 5 feet on each side of the property. Now your neighbor could look at you on the throne. This is ridiculous. You people need to think better, plan better, and stop putting this burden on the property owners. In 13 years in Apollo Beach, you did no improvements. All I did was pay, pay, pay. I can't even get a sidewalk all the way down Apollo Beach. It's substandard sidewalk. I asked for 150 feet to make it a continuous sidewalk instead of a sidewalk to nowhere for 3 years. No one got back to me. You have failed me, and don't put this on me.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Appreciate your comments. Humira Abzal, then Lauren King and Megan Ammer.
Hi. Back in September, this commission voted to cut the $10 million appropriation for Hope's Affordable Housing Trust Fund by 80%. At the end of July, you were 1 vote away from reducing that funding to 0. Local nonprofits like Hope have extensive data-based research on how the crisis is affecting the lives of county residents. Real people, your constituents, are suffering, and that number grows daily. Many people in this county are just one bit of bad luck away from sleeping in their car or under an expressway overpass. You work for all residents of Hillsborough County, regardless of their income or the size of their bank account. Within the 2025 budget, you have the opportunity to redeem yourselves and reinstate the funds for the Affordable Housing Trust to their previous levels. Yes, you can do that. It's a policy choice. I'm also troubled that the budget again includes $100,000 for the Florida Israel Business Accelerator, an entity which incubates and accelerates Israeli-owned startups. The money is used to help Israeli-owned businesses attract U.S. investors, helps them network within the U.S. industry, and provides them with preferential access to government contracts. This gives FIBA-supported companies an unfair advantage over local, small, and minority-owned businesses. The resulting intellectual property and profits are owned and controlled by non-American owned companies. These foreign-owned startups that are promoted with our taxpayer dollars go on to compete with American-owned businesses. Hillsborough County should instead focus on spending these funds to support local businesses and communities. Help our residents with housing and use the $100,000 for FIBA to help startups owned by Hillsborough residents. Think what we could do with technology training for students in Hillsborough County schools with that $100,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Abzal. Lauren King, followed by Megan Ammer, and then Areza Sanchez. Good evening.
Hello, my name is Lauren King, and I live in Hillsborough County. I'm deeply concerned about the Hillsborough County Commission's budget priorities for the upcoming year. Sending $100,000 toward the Florida Israeli Business Accelerator is an unacceptable use of our taxpayer money. As a taxpayer, I demand that we use the money here at home rather than sending it to a foreign entity. If this is allowed, not only is the board just complicit in so-called Israel's genocide in Palestine, but actively participating in it by funding their economy. I believe this would be a bad investment, not just for moral reasons, but because not only will we receive very little from this investment in the U.S., but it will also be a waste of money when so-called Israel's economy collapses. We should be investing the money here at home in our own local businesses, startups, and communities to help alleviate our current economic situation that leads to increased homelessness and poverty. Again, I demand that this taxpayer money not be used on FIBA. Also decrease the police budget. They are out of control. Look at what they did to Pastor Soto, a respected member of the community. They assaulted him and broke 2 discs in his spine. Budget that money to better sources such as water, transportation, parks, housing, anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. King. Megan Amir, and then Areza Sanchez, and Matthew Levine. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Just want to say, Hope, good job, a good turnout. I am here specifically to talk about the Florida Israeli Business Accelerator. Give that $100,000 a year to what Hope wants, because they're here in mass numbers, and they're making a lot of good cases, I think, anyways. When it comes to the Florida Israel Business Accelerator, some of their main goals is to find problems locally, good goal, but that tech companies in Israel might be able to solve. Why not getting Florida companies, Tampa Bay area companies to solve those problems for us? Then their other thing is to have a main event to showcase Israeli innovation to possible funders. Why aren't we showcasing Tampa Bay tech companies to get possible funding? This is not a waste of money, but it's not really money for the residents here. Unfortunately, these companies might come. Yeah, you might get one job per year, but are they going to hire my child, Nora Eimer, right there? Is that company going to hire my son, Ali Eimer? Probably not. So look at, the other nonprofits, the Boys and Girls Club, they're only getting $84,000 or $86,000. Why are we giving $100,000 a year to this? And we've been doing it for the past, has it been 5, 6? I'm not sure how many years it is. Definitely about 5 years, and that's already $500,000. And right now, the organization, the Jewish Community Center, the head of the Jewish Community Center makes $200,000 a year. They don't need this money, okay? They make more money than you commissioners do, so they don't need this money. This money should be spent on other, much more higher priority initiatives. Even the high schools here don't have coding classes. In Hillsborough County, the high schools should at least get coding classes before we try to fund foreign governments. And to me, it doesn't matter that it's Israel. It could be any foreign government. Why are we funding foreign, entities, foreign private companies? We should be, what happened to Make America Great Again? What happened to funding our people here? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hammer. Reza Sanchez? No. Matthew Levine? Nadima Abulaim? Anyone? Is Matthew Levine here? Dima? Dima. My apologies. Then we have a Tyler Bossard, who's virtual, and a Yasmin Sayez, which is virtual. Good evening.
Good evening.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, I'm Tyler. Oh.
No, it's not your turn.
Good evening. I'm Tyler. Oh, my bad.
All right. Good evening, respectable county commissioners. My name is Dima Abu Arlim, and I'm the president of a local women's organization called 200 Muslim Women Who Care. Just to give you a background of why I'm here tonight, we are a community partner with the Hope organization. 200 Muslim Women Who Care was founded in 2017 with a mission to connect all women to their collective power of helping others through philanthropy and compassion. Together, we support Tampa Bay nonprofits in building safer, healthier, and stronger communities for everyone. We support organizations that have addressed a wide range of issues. We are so fortunate to live here in Tampa Bay because we have built relationships with over 100 local nonprofits in the community. We truly have amazing individuals working in the nonprofit sector here in Tampa Bay that make all of our lives better in our community. Of those nonprofits, we have learned about the clients they serve here in our community. Many of them are struggling, working families, people with disabilities, and seniors with very low income. The funds in the recommended budget, as required by the ordinance, should not be removed. The community still needs the proposed funds for affordable housing now for the ongoing development of quality housing that is affordable for these people in our community. My organization helps fund nonprofits, but we hear the need over and over again. These families just can't make ends meet because our county's housing market is driving them out because of the cost. I came here with the intention of advocating for affordable housing, and I was shocked to learn that the commission wants to take $100,000 of money from our taxes, from our local community, to invest in an extreme foreign government that's run by an extreme foreign government that is currently being charged with a genocide. A foreign government that drops bombs that create 30-foot deep craters. And what kind of extreme foreign regime uses such a bomb to attack a refugee camp with people in tents that have been already displaced for a third and fourth time after enduring 11 months of bombing, massacres, starvation, and disease? So you are telling me that in this current climate, you want to give our tax
Thank you, ma'am.
dollars to a foreign government instead of
Appreciate your comments.
neighbors
Thank
with
you.
a house on their head.
The next 9 speakers are virtual. Is there a Tyler Bossard signed up? Tyler?
Yep, hello. Yeah, I'm
Good
Tyler
evening.
Bossard, and I'm a member of the public, and I would just like, good evening. I'd like to encourage the board to vote no on granting help subsidies to corporate builders. We've seen, housing prices increase and become unattainable in Hillsborough County, and have watched property taxes and insurance skyrocket as well. The best way the county commissioners can help us is by not giving more tax dollars to corporate builders and forcing taxes to rise to compensate. We don't need corporations to provide us affordable housing. We need the county commissioners to stop contributing to inflated housing prices and property taxes by subsidizing these corporations. Let these corporations use the subsidies that they've already obtained at the federal and state level. And if they want to do, if they want to provide affordable housing, let them do so with philanthropic intention, and not do so to make money off the back of the taxpayers. It is a proven fact that these subsidies actually increase housing costs and a result in have higher taxation. Help the people of Hillsborough County by lowering property taxes, stopping subsidies, and making housing more affordable for everyone, not just the corporations being subsidized. We don't need taxpayer affordable housing. We need housing to be affordable. I'd just like to encourage you, vote no on giving help subsidies to corporate builders. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Bossard. Yasmin Sayez. Is Yasmin on?
Yasmin, can you hear us? Yasmin, are you unmuted?
Yes, I am. Good evening. My name is Jasmine Sayez. I live here in the Hillsborough County. I also work and go to school here. I am a single mom and a River Bible Institute student. I am also asking you to vote no on granting HOPE subsidies to corporate builders. I am in agreement with Tyler, and I just wanted to say that one way that you can help us is by not giving more of our tax dollars to corporate builders and forcing our taxes to rise to compensate. And I would also like to add, we need housing to be affordable and property taxes to be lowered. And I just thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Sayez. Jessica Sanchez.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Jessica, and I work and I live in the Hillsborough County in Florida. And I'm calling to tell you to vote no on granting HOPE subsidies to corporate builders. I have watched housing prices become unattainable in Hillsborough County since I moved here. I have watched property taxes and property insurances go up in Hillsborough County. You can help us by not giving more money from our more tax dollars to corporate builders and forcing our taxes to rise to compensate. You cannot use the people like that. We don't need corporations to provide us with affordable housing. We need the county commissioners to stop contributing into the inflated housing prices and property taxes by subsidizing these corporations. Let these corporations use the subsidies they have already received in the state. If they already have it, why they want more from us? We are the ones that are working, and we are the ones paying the taxes, and now we cannot even afford any more the taxes because it continues to increase. Let these corporations use the federal subsidies they have been given. Let these corporations who wish to provide low-cost housing to do it with philanthropic intentions instead of looking to make a profit off the back of the taxpayers. Why they don't use the money from somebody else or get the money from other sources rather than the people that are actually working? It is proven a fact that these subsidies actually increase housing costs and result in higher taxation. Help the people of Hillsborough County by lowering property taxes, stopping the subsidies, and make housing more affordable for everyone, not just by corporations being subsidized. We don't need taxpayer-funded affordable housing. We need housing to be affordable.
Thank you, Ms.
Please vote
Sanchez.
no on giving hope to
Appreciate your comments.
corporate builders.
Is there a Junie Enriquez?
Yes.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. I believe in affordable housing, so I'm calling to vote no against granting HOPE subsidies to corporate builders. I like to pay a low rent and a low mortgage, but I don't believe granting these funds is the way to do it. Giving extra funds will only cause property taxes to rise, as you guys have heard all night, and it will make mortgages rise and rent rise. And even if this gracious housing is available, it's not helping the community in any way. At the end of the day, the deposits are going to be high once the housing opens up anyway, as well as the property taxes and everything else that is going to go up. If you want to help the community, I would recommend you lower property taxes instead of giving away money to people that's going to help increase the property tax. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Roy Cease.
Hi, my name is Roy Cease. I live here in the Hillsborough County. I'm currently a student here in Hillsborough County. And I believe that we should be voting no to affordable housing for corporate builders. You are agreeing that we should not be handing over our taxpayer money to these large corporations. And these large corporations, all they're doing is not benefiting the people. They're just making a profit off our tax money under the false promise of helping out the community. And what this really does is allow big corporations to line their pockets with our hard-earned tax dollars. They claim it's about providing affordable housing, but in reality, they're just looking to make a profit off the backs of hardworking people who are already struggling to survive in this economy. This funding is being diverted away from where it's truly needed, instead of focusing on helping the people of Hillsborough County. The government is using our taxpayer money to fund foreign aid, like Israel's genocide, while neglecting those who actually need help right here at home. The money could be used to help the people in need within our own community, rather than propping up big corporations that are scheming under the label of affordable housing. These corporations aren't interested in solving the housing crisis. They're only trying to use our tax money to boost their profits. While they get richer, we face the consequences of higher property taxes, and the cost of living skyrockets. The housing market is tough enough as it is, and by voting yes, we would be making it even harder for regular people to afford a place to live. They've already received federal funding for these projects, and now they want more. Why is it that we should give them more of our money when all they care about is making a profit? By voting no, we're sending a message. Use the funds you already have and stop relying on the taxpayer. If we allow this to happen, it'll only lead to higher costs for housing, food, and basic necessities.
Thank you, sir.
Putting even more
Appreciate your
pressure on the
comments,
people.
Mr. Cease. Lori Luke.
Yes, sir. My name is Lori Luke, and I'm new to the Hillsborough County and looking for housing. I know normally you can rent an apartment for first and second month's rent. Here in the county, you pay 3 months up front. So I'd like to comment also on the HOPE subsidy. You were elected by the people to help and watch out for the best interest of the people. The HOPE subsidy is not in the best interest of the people. The subsidy will go to corporate builders who put profit over the well-being of everyday people. Do you realize that people are already struggling to pay mortgages, rent, and property taxes? You were elected to represent the people, not corporations. Say no to granting the HOPE subsidies to corporations. How would this help everyday people, small businesses, or startups? We need housing to be affordable, not taxpayer-funded affordable housing. Please vote no on giving HOPE subsidies to corporate builders. I ask you to please focus on the needs of the people and your neighbors. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Ms. Luke. Ivanhoe Estrada.
Yes, hi, my name is Ivanhoe Estrada. I currently live here in Hillsborough County in the town of Riverview. I recently moved here from New Jersey to actually escape a lot of the income taxes there. And then I heard about this bill about corporate builders and the subsidies. And I just want to say to everyone right now sitting there in the committee to say no, vote no to this bill. I'm in school right now. I do not need to be paying more income taxes on affordable housing when all you guys can do is literally just lower income tax, the income tax. Really, this issue it's going to be affecting me majorly, and the entire point of me moving here to Florida has been to escape the taxes that are in Jersey. And then with you guys putting this into effect, it's gonna be a slow rise to the taxes that are in the previous state I lived in. So we need to vote no for this. It's gonna affect me, it's gonna affect others as well. Everyone else who has spoken before me has mentioned this before. So yes, just vote no on this bill. This bill is not a good bill. Think of something else. This will not be helping us at all. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Quentin Day.
Quentin, can you hear us? Quentin, you may need to...
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, good evening, sir.
Okay, all right, hello. Good evening. I'm also new to Hillsborough. As the very first constituent has already pointed out the specifics on the budget, I would just, like to more drive home the overall proposition that, everyone's clearly feeling here. And, I also find it appalling the irresponsible regard of our tax dollars. And I urge you to vote no on HOPE subsidies. The corporations, they already have received substantial support from federal and state programs. They have a myriad of subsidies, tax breaks, incentives aimed at promoting low-cost housing. I believe it's time they make better use of those resources instead of reaching further into the pockets of county residents. Those corporations should not be double dipping at the expense of taxpayers. They need to prove their commitment to affordable housing by using existing funds responsibly and not demanding more local support. We cannot continue to subsidize a system that prioritizes corporate gain over the basic needs of the community. The solution is not more taxpayer-funded affordable housing projects. We need real affordable housing that meets the needs of our community without burdening residents with excessive taxes and inflated property values. Instead of subsidizing for the corporations, let's focus on reducing property taxes and reevaluating regulations that drive up the housing costs. Let's implement measures that directly benefit local residents. Vote no, stand with the people of Hillsborough County. Thank you.
We got Tristan Dunbar, and then the next two speakers in person, Jamar Johnson and Joseph Nohava. Is Tristan on the line?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Tristan Dunbar, and I live in Hillsborough County, Florida, and I am speaking to tell you to vote no on granting HOPE subsidies to corporate builders. I have seen housing prices and property taxes as well as insurance become overpriced in Hillsborough County. You must not give more of our tax dollars to corporate builders, ultimately forcing our taxes to rise to compensation. We don't need corporations to provide us with affordable housing. We need you to stop contributing to the inflated housing prices and property taxes by subsidizing these corporations. These corporations can use subsidies they have from the state and federal subsidies they've been given. It is a proven fact that these subsidies actually increase housing costs and result in higher taxation. Help the people of Hillsborough County by making housing more affordable for everyone, not just the corporations being subsidized. We don't need taxpayer-funded affordable housing. We need housing to be affordable. Please vote no on giving both subsidies to corporate builders. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, sir. Jamar Johnson, and then followed by Joseph Nohava. Good evening.
I stand here for one reason and one reason alone. Housing prices in our county are a distance away from the lifestyle of the average homeowner. Current property taxes and property insurance have soared in Hillsborough County. What the residents of our county need is not for tax dollars to be given to corporate builders, which in fact would increase our taxes as economic result. What the residents of Hillsborough County need is for county commissioners to no longer aid in the inflating of housing prices and increasing in property taxes that result from subsidizing these corporations. These corporations have already received subsidies from the state as well as the federal level, so allow them to use what they've already been given. If these corporations aim to provide affordable housing, then let them do so as a public benevolence instead of taking from the mouths of local taxpayers. Since this is a court of law, in essence, then let us speak facts. And the fact is the only result of these subsidies is an increase in housing costs and greater taxation. As a resident of Hillsborough County, as your neighbor, I'm imploring that you lend a helping hand to your neighbors by lowering property taxes, putting a halt to these subsidies, and making housing more affordable for our people instead of the corporations that have been subsidized. We don't need affordable housing projects. What we need is housing to be affordable. Please, prioritize the people of this county, hard-working taxpayers instead of bowing to corporate giants. In the words of John F. Kennedy, the basis of effective government is public confidence, and that confidence is endangered when ethical standards falter or appear to falter. Vote no on giving HOPE subsidies to these corporate builders. In March of 2024, the Tampa Housing Authority received $4 million in federal funds to enhance Robles Park and provide affordable housing. Nothing has been done in 6 months, and yet here we are discussing providing $10 million for more affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Joseph Nohava. And the next two speakers are virtual, David Zulian and Aisha Khan. Good evening.
Good evening. I am Joseph Nahava. I've been a resident of Hillsborough County for the last 4 years. I'm with the Tampa Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression, and I am here, as many others have been, to speak against the Florida Israel Business Accelerator, which is an ideologically motivated, poor investment for this county, for this state, that directs much-needed funds from housing, education, infrastructure, parks, just about anything. These fine folks at HOPE could certainly use that money, to a government that has been credibly accused, proven in a court of law, international court of law of justice, to be carrying out a genocide. I ask you all, commissioners here today, would you want to be remembered alongside the American business people, companies that funded and enabled the Holocaust against the Jewish people? Because if you fund, and those who fund, the genocide in Palestine, you will be remembered in history alongside those cowards and those people that funded genocide. So again, I stand here today. I'm a mental health counselor in this county, and I can't tell you the number of clients that I see on a daily basis who struggle with things like housing, struggle with things like putting food on their table, providing for their children, providing for health care, and that money could go to any of those necessary and important areas of funding. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. David Zulian, virtual.
Hi there. My name is David Julian. My zip code is 33617. I'm calling in today because I'm concerned about the Hillsborough County Commission's budget priorities for the upcoming year, specifically the renewal of $100,000 for the Florida Israel Business Accelerator, or FIBA, like many people are. As a taxpayer, I am disappointed to not see our money used for the purpose of advancing the people in this community. The Hillsborough County Commission has cut funds to nonprofits to benefit residents of Hillsborough County. HOPE, for example, recently had its funding for affordable housing projects reduced from $10 million a year to $2 million. And other nonprofits such as Enterprising Latinas have also had their fundings reduced. Instead of supporting a foreign entity, especially one who is enacting a genocide on the people of Palestine, I implore you to invest that $100,000 directly into supporting businesses and nonprofits to help the people here who need it at home. If the purpose of this investment was merely about giving money to businesses to create job opportunities both here and in Israel, I would like to remind you all that in 2017, FIBA-connected startups raised over $915 million but only created 93 highly skilled jobs.
It is my opinion that $100,000 per FIBA is not an acceptable use of our tax dollars, especially because it comes at a time when many businesses in Hillsborough County are closing their doors, unable to recover from the trying economic times. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Aisha Khan, and then Tricia Foster is in person, followed by Chris Kravitz.
Hillsborough County for the past. Hi, this is Dr. Aisha Khan. I've been a resident of Hillsborough County for the past 3 years. I'm here to support or advocate for my patients who I see on a daily basis having more and more housing and, instability. It's really sad. It's unfortunate. Like, it's almost become like a topic of discussion where I see a patient. It's almost, I can't even say the percentage exactly, but a high percentage of my patients will have some sort of housing crisis. Either the rent is going too high, they can't afford it. Some unfortunate situation happened and they can't pay their mortgage and they're getting kicked out. And emergency, for my patients living with HIV, there are some programs, non-for-profit, that have funding for emergency housing. However, those emergency housing, quote unquote, the time frame to get onto those emergency housing programs is about 3 to 4 months, minimal. It's really sad and it's really unfortunate. And housing is a determinant of health. If you don't have a house, you don't have a fridge. Some of my patients are diabetics who need insulin. Well, they don't have a house, they don't have a fridge. Where are they going to keep their insulin? It's a really unfortunate situation that we have this crisis in Hillsborough County. I came to the Board of County Commissioners meeting a couple months back and talked about housing. It seems like everyone's talking about housing, so clearly there is a housing crisis in our county that we need to solve. On the same token, as everyone else has been mentioning, why are we investing $100,000 in the Florida Israeli Business Accelerators when we could easily be using that money to invest in our housing crisis here locally? Or education system, as another previous speaker had mentioned. I think it'd be great if we had coding classes for high school students or financial literacy classes. That's something that would go a long way and be great for our future in Hillsborough County. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I believe I heard Tricia Foster's not here. Chris Kravitz, followed by Bernice Powell-Jackson, and then Antoinette Johnson. Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I'm Chris Kravitz, ministering pastorally at Waters Avenue Church and Bayshore Baptist Church, both member congregations of Hope. And what happened with those comments? What was going on there? I'd love to know where the script came from. I'd love to know who wrote it, because most of the facts were wrong. There's rhetoric in there. We're the ones who work, not them. Let's stop pitting those who have versus those who have not. That's immoral. Let's say that, let's talk about, some people call it a bill. It's not a bill, it's a line item already in the budget. We're just asking for it to be approved. Yep. The speakers don't know what they're talking about who talked about this. We said, we heard that let's stop funding corporate builders. Most of the projects that Hope funds have been directed towards were nonprofit builders. So that's taken care of. That's off. That's off. We don't have to worry about that one anymore. This is not an income tax. We all know this. Let's get serious here. Let's get serious, okay? Let's be real. What are these massive savings we're talking about? $30, $60, $100 annually for incorporated homeowners? We know the problem, folks. We know the problem, and we know the solution: more units. We're willing to meet with anyone, like Justin said, and show our research, because it's solid research. Commissioners Wostel, Cepeda, you've made it clear that you don't want to address affordable housing for folks that need it most. This is not a time to have a fantasy of values or ideology. We don't need ideologues. We want people to do their jobs and make Hillsborough County the best county it can be for everybody, starting with the most vulnerable. That is our moral responsibility as humans to one another, and we will fulfill that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Denise Powell-Jackson, followed by Antoinette Johnson and Robert Ballou. Good evening.
I'm Reverend Bernice Powell-Jackson. I'm pastor of First United Church of Tampa. I want to thank Reverend Kravitz for debunking some of what we've heard over and over again, and from what was obvious scripts. And I want to agree with him. I am concerned about the miseducation and diseducation that is out there, and he named all of the points, so I don't need to do it again. You commissioners know better. You know what the reality is. You know about where the $10 million is. It's in the fund. Through the years, we brought senior citizens, disabled persons, retired police officers, small business owners, and families with children, all of whom have experienced not having access to safe and affordable housing. While more than 1,100 of those housing units have been built or renovated over these years, we know that there are tens of thousands of families desperately in need of safe and affordable housing in our county. I've also heard it said that the county has other priorities, such as roads and highways, and most of us travel on the roads in this county, and we know that there is much room for improvement. But what would it say about our values as a county if we have beautiful roads and people living on the side of them? How do we explain to our children that although we had money in the budget which might provide safe housing for other children, we chose not to spend it? And what about the economic impact on not having enough affordable housing in our county? The truth is that with a $10 billion budget, we have enough funds to help provide safe, affordable housing for families who work hard each and every day and yet cannot find housing, and to provide all these other services.
Antoinette Johnson, virtual, followed by Robert Below, and then Ilham Larhild. Antoinette?
Hello.
Good evening.
Antoinette Johnson. We moved here from Michigan to Florida to buy property in 2021. In Michigan, the corporations have bought all the homes, many other homes in Michigan. And then we tried to purchase homes there, but we could not. So we moved here, and guess what? Same thing's happening here. My spouse and I did not purchase a home here in Hillsborough County because the property taxes are extremely high, even for a modest home. My husband, daughter, and I, we lived and worked here for the past 3 years in Hillsborough County. And as new Hillsborough County residents, we say vote no on granting hope subsidies to corporate builders. We did not buy here because the housing prices are just over the roof in Hillsborough County. And since living here just these 2 years, I've watched property taxes and watched the housing costs and watched the rent costs increase. You can help us by not giving more of the tax dollars to corporate builders who only are looking at their own pockets. They have money from the federal government, they have money from the state government, and now they have money from you. So do what you're supposed to do, and do not vote no on this hope subsidy. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there Robert Bolu? Robert here? Okay. And then Ilham Larhild, virtual, and then Kim Howlett. Good evening, sir.
Hi, my name is Robert Boileau, B-O-I-L-E-A-U. Was that who you were calling for?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, a lot of misinformation tonight. The HOPE is established through an ordinance that was passed in 2019 by all 7 commissioners. It's not a tax. It takes money from the general funds and puts it aside for affordable housing that is then managed by the Affordable Housing Department, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that's the case. Now, I'm a homeowner and a taxpayer. I have no problem having a small fraction of my taxes going to affordable housing. I also get 2 $25,000 homestead exemptions, as I think most homeowners in this county do, and in this state. There's no income tax. I don't think our sales tax is extraordinary. So I really don't understand the problem that some of you seem to have with taxes. You know, our U.S. Constitution, probably the Florida one too, says we are a people, we are a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And for the people includes those who are the most challenged among us, who have the least amount of resources. And we explained over those years before the HOPE Fund was established, and even since, just how great the need is. Whether you believe that or not, that is the case. You can look at all our facts rather than trumping up some kind of script for these people that have been reading them to us tonight. That's all I can say for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there an Ilham Larlid?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. Good evening.
Hey, great. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ilham Larlid. I'm a resident of Tampa and 33647 zip code. I'm commenting on the county's action to invest county money in the Israeli startup accelerator involved in providing technology that is used to bomb neighborhoods and kill innocent civilians in Palestine. When the county commissioners are voted to assume public management roles, this job description includes financing warfare. I don't remember seeing that in the campaign trail. So clearly the county commissioner's decision to send county funds to finance the system responsible by international law for the killing of civilians consists public government overreach. How can a county commissioner's board commissioned to serve its constituents and maintain its school system decided to invest in a foreign government and economy that destroyed 150 schools and 30 universities? How come a Hillsborough County that is created to build and fix roads would finance a foreign government and economy who engaged in the bombing of whole neighborhoods like Hillsborough County and destroying the infrastructure of a small city? How come a county that could promote healthcare infrastructure is ready to invest in a foreign government that destroyed 150 hospitals and killed medical staff and above all, dumped them all in the mass graves 6 months ago? Because of investment decisions like the one discussed today, the U.S. lost billions of dollars and human lives in wars like Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan. We lost some 50,000 U.S. Army men in Vietnam just because of decisions like this. So that clearly, Hillsborough County commissioners don't care about human life loss and just care about achieving their lobbyist goals. Is this county so blinded by political interest that they refuse to see criminal war stream 24 hours a day? We are mothers. We are distressed seeing children like ours on the cube, bombed to pieces and surviving, and the one surviving starving to death. And seeing our county planning to
Okay,
this
thank you.
madness is beyond.
Appreciate your comments. Kim Howlett in person, followed by a Malik Barnes virtual and a Duster Haynes. Good evening.
Hello, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to stand before you today. It's an honor to stand here before you. I voted for you. My name is Kim Howlett. I live in Hillsborough County. I'm here today to ask you to please vote no on granting Hope this $10 million. We don't need affordable housing through taxpayer funding. I talk to taxpaying homeowners. Yes, we do need housing to be affordable. I'm purchasing a home next year, and I don't want higher housing costs, property taxes, and insurance. We need your help. You are the best at representing us. We elected you. You accepted the call, and we're holding you accountable. Help the residents of Hillsborough County by first lowering the property taxes, and second, stopping these corporate subsidies. Please, don't allow them to profit off the backs of taxpayers and burden us. Vote no. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Malik Barnes, virtual, followed by a Duster Haynes and a Peter Horstman.
Malik, can you hear us? Malik, you may need to unmute your microphone. Malik is not saying anything, Chair.
Okay. Duster Haynes, followed by a Peter Horstman, and then a Lee Barks. Good evening.
Hello, my name is Duster Haynes, and I'm a member of HOPE as well as a Hillsborough County teacher. While you have heard some misrepresentations regarding the HOPE Fund, I'd like to share some specifics regarding our housing crisis. While most of us may think of the homeless as middle-aged single adults, the fastest growing homeless population, as you've heard before, is our senior citizens forced out of their homes due to the catastrophic rise in rent. They aren't the only ones suffering, though. In Hillsborough County, there are over 4,000 children who also are experiencing homelessness. When children don't have a stable home, they are much more likely to drop out and are significantly more likely to not reach proficiency in reading and math. They have twice the rate of learning disabilities as their peers and 3 times more emotional and behavioral problems. Almost every year, I teach homeless students, and they struggle with the most basic levels of focus and performance due to the added stress related to their housing instability. They miss school at much higher rates and cannot keep up with their classes. For adults, homelessness many times results in the inability to get or maintain work, compounding these problems. This year began with over 1,000 teacher and support staff vacancies in Hillsborough County, many times due to the inability to find affordable housing and stay in county. I've had colleagues leave to go to other counties and states where they could afford to find housing. I urge you to support the CIT and see the connection to affordable housing. Our county cannot afford to lose great teachers, and we cannot afford to have so many students fall behind because they don't have stable housing. And we don't have to do it alone. The fully funded Hope Fund leverages a tiny percentage of the county budget to get millions more from state and federal funds for housing, which also contributes to reductions in law enforcement and hospital costs across the county. Just last year, we saw the direct benefit of Hope Affordable Housing in the Blue Sky building, which was built with taxes that were well used. As you can see, so many of us here in person were deeply invested in our vulnerable neighbors, and we would like you to support the full $10 million to the Hope Fund.
All right, thank you. Peter Horseman. Is Peter Horseman here?
Peter's ill, not here.
Okay, thank you, sir. Lee Barks, followed by Autumn Williams, who's virtual. Good evening.
I'm Lee Barks, co-chair of the Combined Hope Affordable Housing and Mental Health Committee. Permanent supportive housing we haven't talked about tonight, and it's part of affordable housing. Access to permanent supportive housing dramatically reduces someone's likelihood of being incarcerated, homeless, Baker Acted, and ending up in the hospital, up to a 50% reduction. There's an average net savings of taxpayer money of $21,000 per person per year. For those that are considered high utilizers, that amount goes up to $61,000 per person per year. So it makes fiscal sense for the county to be supporting affordable housing. I urge you to disregard the scripted comments about corporate builders. They're uninformed. There are actually very few corporations building affordable housing in Hillsborough County. Many builders of affordable housing are nonprofits and churches like my own church, Palmacia Presbyterian. And Palmacia Presbyterian's investment has resulted in 100 units for low-income seniors. In addition, savings and efficiency from monies raised have been put into a fund that's benefiting community projects as a nonprofit. Not funding the Affordable Housing Fund would only save homeowners about $30 per household, and only in the cities of Plant City, Temple Terrace, and Tampa, not even the whole county. In the midst of the worst affordable housing crisis in our memory, everyone in this room, every voter in this county just has to ask, what would be the motivation of anyone who would attack the Affordable Housing Fund to diminish, reallocate, eliminate it, or even to rescind the ordinance that mandates it? Why would anyone do that? Thank you.
Thank you. Autumn Williams, virtual, followed by a Megan Summers, and then a Carmen Edmonds, virtual. Is Autumn on the line?
Thank you. Hi.
Good evening.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Autumn Williams. I am 24 years old. I work and I live and I am a college student in Hillsborough County, Florida. I would like to begin by stating, because some of those who called in spoke about moral responsibility. If it is our moral responsibility, then let the churches fund it, then put it on the taxpayers. So another question may be, why are the churches asking government to do what the church should be doing? Because they don't trust God or that they want to beg the government? I also would like to state that housing prices have elevated to an unbearable price in Hillsborough County. Property taxes and property insurance have also increased drastically. Hear the voice of the people today. Vote no on giving HOPE subsidies to corporate builders, and my generation needs the county commissioners to hear us. It is unfair for us and our tax dollars to go to corporate builders. Choose to make a difference for all of Generation Z. Vote no on HOPE subsidies to corporate builders. My generation wants affordable housing, lowered property taxes, and the stop of the subsidies. Thank you for voting no.
All right, thank you. Megan Summers. Is Megan here? No. Carmen Edmonds, virtual, followed by a Jackie Coy and Reverend Brian Scott. Is Miss Edmonds on the line?
I do not see Miss Edmonds on the line.
Okay. Jackie Coy, and then Reverend Brian Scott, and then Adam Eland. Good evening.
Good evening, County Commissioners and community members. My name is Jackie Coy, and I am a member of HOPE. I'm here because affordable housing is personal to me and to so many in this community. I have family members who are homeless right now, and it is heartbreaking to see how hard life is when you don't have a safe place to call home. They're not just struggling to find shelter, they're struggling to survive, and they're not alone. As people of faith, we are called to stand up for the most vulnerable among us. Today, I'm asking you to do the right thing. Right now, in our county, too many people are facing the same situation. They're being priced out of their homes, rent keeps going up, and wages just aren't keeping up. People are working hard. Some even working 2, 3 jobs, and they still can't afford a decent place to live. And that is not right. We can't just sit back and let this crisis grow any bigger. Now is the time to take action. The $10 million for the local affordable housing fund is a huge, huge step in the right direction. This money will help create more affordable homes, giving families and individuals a real chance to live with dignity and stability. When we talk about affordable housing, we're talking about our neighbors, our teachers, healthcare workers, seniors, and young families.
Thank you, Ms. Coy.
Thank you.
Reverend Brian Scott, then Adam Eland, and then Alama Alhazen, virtual.
Howdy. Good evening, County Commissioners. I'm Reverend Brian Scott. I'm a retired pastor with St. Paul Lutheran Church in Seminole Heights, and I also live in Lutz. And I'd like to share some personal stories. Before I share those stories, I just would like to respond a little bit to what we often seem to hear too much today, and that's conspiracy theories. And that's what we've heard, scripted conspiracy theories. HOPE is about helping people to have affordable housing, and that's what I'm here to talk about. God asked us to do the most we can do for our neighbor in need. Oftentimes, we have done the least. There's 2 stories, one of which is mine. I live in a rental property. Many people do. One of the problems in rental property in Hillsborough County is that many of the rental communities are being bought out. If you want to talk about corporate subsidy, that's where you probably need to start. In the 4 years that I've lived in Lutz, 34% increase in my rental cost. I had to take a renter into my 2-bedroom apartment with my family just to be able to meet ends meet. I'd like to talk about another story, which is a gentleman also in the Lutz area, also very active in his faith community. Unfortunately, because of the rising rent, a few weeks ago, he committed suicide. okay? This happened because he was 2 months behind on his rent and would face eviction. He also had some mental health and other issues, and this just pushed him over the edge. This is not the kind of community that God calls us to be in.
Thank you, Reverend. Adam Elin. Is Adam here? If not, we have a Lama Alhazen virtual, followed by Bernard Smith, and then a Jason Hoppy.
Lama has not checked in.
Okay. Bernard Smith.
Thanks for the opportunity. Bernard Smith, I'm a homeowner, resident of Hillsborough County along with my wife. We're both taxpayers, and we're asking that you vote no to the Hope subsidiary. Thank you. We're asking that you vote no on granting Hope subsidies to builders. Hey, if developers want to provide low-cost housing or affordable housing, I think that that's great. My wife, if she was here, she would say that that's great. But let them find that funding from another source, not from our hard-earned tax dollars that we pay. We don't pay taxpayer funds to build affordable housing. We need housing and taxes to be affordable to everyone. We pay property taxes for the services that you provide in the county. Affordable housing is not a service. We're paying your taxes for the services that you provide, not to provide affordable housing. Whether it's corporate builders, you've heard all night, or nonprofit builders, it doesn't matter. Let them get their funding from another source, not from our tax-paying money. And I think, I don't know, I didn't record it, but if you heard the majority tonight, I think they all were saying vote no. We're saying vote no on giving Hope subsidiaries for developers. Thank you for your time.
And thank you, sir. Got Jason Hoppy, virtual, and then Bianca Melendez and Sheila Simmons-Tribble. Is Jason on the line?
Jason is not. Here it is. Yep.
Okay. Bianca Melendez.
Hello? Jason's here.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Hi, good evening, Commissioners. I thank you so much for hearing me, taking the time. And I actually want to second Autumn Williams on that. And to be honest, if the church wants to help, then they're the ones that need to take care of the widow and the orphan, to be honest, and leave government out of it, to be honest. I don't want to see my taxes and other people's tax dollars in Hillsborough County go to the corporate interest. I mean, where does it stop in reality if we constantly do this? I say, I do have a heart for the less fortunate, and it may seem like a noble cause, but for younger people in the generation, they're going to see the constant tax increases over the years, and it won't stop. And so they can receive various other state and federal aids, as many others have said. This is not the only source. We should start not focus on only one source, but we should focus on various sources. This tax money should be used for other various projects that are dire to our city. And so I thank you for my comment. Taking your time.
All right, thank you. Bianca Melendez. Bianca here. Sheila Simmons-Tribble, followed by Renee Glasgow.
Mr. Chair, Bianca is on the line.
Okay, well, I've got down her in person. Tell her to hold off one moment. Good. Yes, please.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Sheila Simmons-Tribble, a member of Bible-Based Fellowship Church, and the co-president of Hope and the co-chair of the Housing Committee, Affordable Housing Committee. A couple of things that I want to say right at the very beginning. The first thing is that when you look at the Hope Fund, that's gap funding. We use that money, that money is being used to leverage in getting more funds. Someone said earlier tonight, look at all the other funds. Well, if we have the Affordable Housing Fund there, then we are able to use that to leverage to get more funds. The other thing I wanted to say, three things basically. Number one is that we're here to support the vulnerable residents in our community. We're here to give voice to the voiceless. The second thing, the Affordable Housing Fund, when they move into these units, it's not free. They do pay rent. And the rent is according to their income levels. And they're members of our workforce, like someone said earlier. They are our teachers, they are our service workers, cashiers, and families, working families with low and very low income. I'm very passionate about this issue because we have seen the tremendous advantage that this Affordable Hope Fund has done. And the last thing I want to say is that there's an African proverb that says, tall trees catch much wind. We're going to continue to stand tall for the families struggling to find a place to live. We're going to continue to stand tall for the 2,000 people who are living on the streets. We're going to continue to stand tall for the seniors that are living on fixed incomes and struggling to find a house and a place to live. Thank you very much.
Bianca Melendez, followed by Renee Glasgow, and then a Benjamin Jones. Bianca, you're up.
Hi, my name is Bianca Melendez, and my zip code is 33614. And I am commenting particularly on the FIBA. And I'm also severely concerned about the Hillsborough County Commission budget priorities. As a taxpayer, I should steer money used for advancing the people in this community. The Hillsborough County Commission is currently planning on investing $100,000 of our taxpayer money into the FIBA. The FIBA is a business accelerator which, according to their website, helps best and breed Israeli startup scale and reach their full potential. This comes at a time when many businesses here are closing and post-COVID still, and times are very challenging. Hillsborough County has also cut funding for many life-saving programs such as and other things. And instead of funding a foreign entity, especially one that has connection to the state of Israel and committing an exterminational genocide on innocent people of Palestine, according to the International Court, our taxes should go directly to our community here at home. I ask you and I demand that you invest that $100,000 directly into supporting businesses and our community at home and work better to decrease our police violence that is at an extremely high rate. Thank you.
All right, thank you. It's Renee Glasgow, and then a Benjamin Jones and Harrison Lundy that are both virtual. Good evening.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Renee Glasgow. I am a 60-year-old disabled female. I've spent 33 years in pain management. I had to give up my career due to health problems with my bone density. I live on disability and Social Security. Everything I accumulated in my career, I have lost, except for my house. It's my last possession. I'm desperately trying to hold on to it and stay in it. 2 years ago, I qualified for an affordable housing program that would help me make repairs on my house. I sit on the 27th spot on that list. I have not received any help because there is no funding. Hope does much more than build houses. It supports people like me. It keeps people like me in their homes. Please consider all the good things that Hope does and fund this money and help people like me and others in our community to stay in our homes. Thank you.
Thank you. Benjamin Jones. Is Benjamin on the line?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So, my name is Benjamin. I'm a resident of Hillsborough County. I've been here for 13 months, and I've been a student here. And I just want to say before I go on, with the fact, when the fact on this issue are considered scripted or a conspiracy theory, I mean, it certainly raises the question. I mean, do they have good intentions? Perhaps, but they're not grounded in the hard facts. And we understand the homeless problem and the problem with increasing housing costs, but the government subsidies to these the nonprofits or the nonprofit corporations, it ultimately will not solve the problem. In fact, it will actually exacerbate the problem and destroy incentives for nonprofits to help people in a way that's best for them. And so I come here today to urge you to vote no on the proposal to grant Hope subsidies for the building. And so we've witnessed prices, housing prices reaching levels that are simply unattainable for many people here in the town, especially young. So it includes property taxes, insurance rates, and it puts a lot of pressure on hardworking families and people who have recently moved here. We must be clear-eyed about the role your decisions play on the trend. So handing over $10 million of those taxpayer dollars to these developers, and we will risk driving these costs even higher. So instead of continuing to overspend on these subsidies, let's consider an alternative tax. These corporations have already received substantial support from state and federal sources. So why not allow them to use those existing funds to invest out of a sense of genuine charity and not for profit? So the evidence is clear. Subsidies often do more harm than good. And they inflate the housing costs and increase property taxes.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments.
Thank
Thank you, sir. Harrison Lundy, and then followed by a Sally Osman and a Judy Barzilay. Is Harrison on the line?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. Good evening, everybody. My name is Harrison Lundy. I live in 33579 in District 4 of Hillsborough County. I'm calling in to speak against the proposed $100,000 investment in the Florida Israel Business Accelerator. I think the best way for me to do this is to join others here in showing my strong support for the community investment tax. This would be a great step to expand housing, enrich our infrastructure, and most poignantly, address and enrich the livelihood of businesses at all local levels. I do have a real fear that this $100,000 investment will not be popular. I think most people vote for their county commissioners based on what they can do for us in our immediate neighborhood and community. That's just the bipartisan core value that we share as taxpayers. If I go up to the average voter and I tell them the truth of what's happening, if I go up to them and I'm like, your county commissioner is voting to put money towards bonds in a foreign government or to have businesses from a foreign government accelerated in your area, what are they supposed to do with that information? And it's like, you better hope that that voter isn't a business owner themselves or a constituent themselves or somebody struggling with affordable housing, because that's a whole other can of worms that you have to deal with at an election. This isn't just about our county commission messing with four entities. It's not lost on me that the sheriff's office here, who joins many departments and finding the need to train with Israeli defense forces who are committing a genocide, is severely outfunding every other sector in the county in the general fund. I was looking at that. There's no reason that the fire rescue should be outfunded 9 times over. There's no reason public housing should be outfunded 13 times over by the sheriff's office. There's no world where that makes sense. Not when people come up every other hearing and they beg for an expansion of those resources. So if we're going to be a county that welcomes all, if we want to be here for businesses, we cannot forget that there are people that already live here. And if we care about this county enough to say that we aren't going anywhere and that we are pleading that the commission strikes this $100,000 investment from FIBA. It just does not make sense. Thank you.
Thank you. There's Sally Osman, followed by a Judy Barzilay, and then a Gabriel Morgan. Good evening.
Hello, my name is Sally Osman. Thank you so much for your great service and your due care. Really appreciate it. Speaking on regarding the technology investments, I've been in the technology sector for 30 years and 27 years specifically in cybersecurity and risk management. It concerns me to see that, and I've also been an educator, and I run some STEM programs, incubators, and accelerators for disadvantaged communities. What surprises me in Hillsborough County specifically, that I lived in for 10 years, that the curriculum, specifically in STEM, is very weak. The countries that we're talking about, that we're competing with today, their kids start coding at the age of sixth grade, 12 years old. In the United States, and you probably heard the crowd, they're suggesting that students should start coding at high school. That's actually too late. And the reason I'm saying that, as someone who's trying to hire talent, I can't find talent in the pipeline. When I teach them in universities, I struggle with them because they don't know the basics of coding. Our children here are disadvantaged, and here we are taking this money to improve other countries. There is also something that I would like to bring your attention to. You probably heard of the software called Pegasus. Pegasus is a spying software that took the lives of a lot of human rights activists and journalists. Khashoggi is the major one from Washington Post. Pegasus was guilty of locating that person and killing him. This is very important, and I would like to remind you of the Florida regulations and the statute 218.415 that specifically cites that it should not be judged on none of the choices should have been on any personal or ideological beliefs.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate the comments. Judy Barsley, Judy here, followed by a Gabriel Morgan, and then a Martin Racine, who's virtual. Good evening.
Thank you. Thank you all for the time. Some years ago, my son was living in LA, and he had a severe reaction to a flu shot. It caused him to lose strength in his legs and coordination. He could not work. He returned home. After about 9 months of intensive physical therapy, he was finally able to get his coordination back. He was able to get a job. After several months after that, he was looking for rentals, property. He told me after some time, Mom, I can't find anything. I said, come on, John, you're not even looking. There's got to be something out there. But then when I started looking, I found he was absolutely right. We have a shortage of housing stock in Hillsborough County, specifically for the low and very low income, and for those people coming out of college who start off in the lower ranks of income in different businesses. He found out from his friends, he had 2 close friends, they were living in New York City. 2 other good friends had moved to Oregon. He ended up moving to Oregon. I don't know, maybe I'm a little short-sighted, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that we spend all this money on our kids, growing them up in our county. They go to our public schools. We then let them go to our colleges here in Florida. And then because we do not provide any kind of opportunity of housing, then they're forced to go to some other state and help that state's economy. I beg you to keep the $10 million in the Hope Fund, because that is that feeder money where we then can qualify for state and federal funds and get the housing that we need in our county. There are literally tens of thousands of people who need housing in our county. Thank you.
Thank you. Gabriel Morgan, and then a Martin Racine, who's virtual, and then a Stacy Ransom. Good evening.
Good evening, Reverend Dr. Gabriel Morgan, St. Paul Lutheran in Tampa, and here with the Hillsborough Organization for Progress and Equality in support of the $10 million for housing. I just want to say my first word to whatever organization it is that's producing these silly scripts. If you really believe what you're saying is true, then come out into the light and admit who you are. Everybody knows who we are. They know who Hope is. They know who our churches are. They know the stories of the people that we share, so that you understand that we're not just talking about scripts and ideology, but people's actual lived experience. And if you really believe what you're saying is true, then say who you are. And I have a feeling that you will not, because you are afraid. I want to also respond tonight to the claim that somehow we are stealing from people through their property taxes. And one of our commissioners, I understand, I wasn't at this meeting, I want to make sure I understand this correctly, cited the commandment not to steal from the book of Exodus about this, okay? It has been interpreted for most of Christian history to see that the commandment not to steal is not just about petty thieves at the grocery store taking stuff off the shelves, but is also about the refusal to help your neighbor in need when they need something. That's kind of, the point of the story of the Good Samaritan. Just because we have funds carrying over from previous years combined with, I hope, sparing the $10 million for this year, even if you add the average units based on our records, plus 3 and some odd million change from the SHIP fund, you're still only going to get 1,300 plus new units. That adds up to maybe 3% of what the Schimberg report says we actually need, and I suppose the rest can just eat cake, right? Here's what Luther says, Martin Luther, that great reformer, about the commandment not to steal. Okay, not just about petty thieves, but also about those who defraud others in the market and those who refuse to help others in need. He says, the poor are defrauded every day and new burdens and higher prices imposed, and everybody misuses.
Thank you, sir. Martin Racine, and then a Stacy Ransom, and a Debbie Zulian. Is Martin on the line?
Martin, can you hear us? Martin, can you hear us? Please unmute your mic. Martin, can you hear us?
All right, we'll come back to Martin. Stacy Ransom, and then a Debbie Zulian, and then a Diana Gray. Stacy here? All right, how about Debbie Zulian? Is Debbie on the line?
Yes.
All right, good evening.
Hello, my name is Debbie Dooley and my zip code is 33617. I was made aware of the Hillsborough County Commissioner's plan to use $100,000 of taxpayer money to support foreign Israeli businesses. I believe that this is an unacceptable use of our money, and I would rather not indirectly support a country that is committing horrible war crimes against thousands of innocent men, women, and children in Palestine. Beyond the moral implications, investing in FIBA is an ineffective way to create jobs here or in Israel. FIBA has managed to raise millions of dollars but only create less than 100 high-skilled jobs. It is, in my opinion, along with many others, that $100,000 towards FIBA is not an acceptable use of our tax dollars and would be better used to help businesses in Hillsborough County that are currently closing their doors, or used to support organizations like HOPE, which recently had its funding slashed $10 million a year to $2 million. Thank you.
Thank you. We've got Diana Gray, followed by Carissa Heinrichs and Charlene Baghdadi, looks like. Diana here. All right, Diana's not here, I take it. All right, Carissa Heinrich, and then Charlene, and then Amarta Ryder. Good evening.
Hello, my name is Carissa Heinrichs. I'm a resident of Hillsborough County. I want to voice my support for funding what this county values and wants to foster the most, housing accessibility, especially the wonderful work that's being done by HOPE. Expanded public transit, investing in our energy efficiency, and food security. I am concerned that the Hillsborough County Commission is currently planning on investing $100,000 of our taxpayer dollars into the Florida Israel Business Accelerator. I think that money should go towards investing and uplifting our communities here, giving opportunities to the mass potential of Hillsborough County residents. It is only logical and ethical to allocate funding where it is needed and will serve to benefit our county the most, and not further disenfranchise communities that are in our care by siphoning off funds to self-interested foreign business initiatives. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, and up next is Charlene Baghdadi.
Hi, good evening. My name is Charlene Baghdadi, representing Global Engineering Associates, serving Tampa Bay right here in Hillsborough County. You're seeking to invest another $100,000 of our tax dollars to the Florida Israel Business Accelerator, better known as FIBA, a business accelerator that, according to their own website, help Israel startups scale and reach their full growth potential here in the United States. An accelerator, that is what it means. It offers an advantage, not a necessity. What is a necessity is this county's infrastructure. I guarantee a majority of us in this room and on this panel have experienced firsthand alarming impacts resulting from our typical Florida summer rains just in prior weeks. In recent county flood studies, the reassessment reflected that many areas across this county now lie below the flood elevation. resident tax dollars, and let's not forget the impact and mobility fees developers must pay in the community expansion efforts should most definitely be invested in the overdue and evident necessities of our infrastructure improvements. In short, stormwater and flood prevention. Our community residents are already drowning and struggling in increased housing costs and rises in property and flood insurances, as you've already heard many of the speakers from tonight. From an investment standpoint, this is a poor investment. There are plenty of local startups right here in our backyard with plenty of talent, healthy balance sheets, and promising trajectories to promote regional growth for our area who could certainly use support from the very county they reside in. What an insult to say that you would be more willing to invest in a foreign entity startup in a country that is so unstable, furthermore in a region with much uncertainty for its future. County tax dollars belong to our residents, not foreign businesses. There are more pressing critical matters, as I've mentioned, in our backyard, and moreover, there are local domestic businesses that could benefit from these dollars. Thank you.
Well, thank you. We have our last name Ryder, followed by a Geraldine Rogers Toombs and a John Ubel. Good evening.
Good evening. That's Loli Marta Ryder. Thank you so much. And in all honesty, thank you for being civil servants and leaders. I think if you're an elected official, it takes a certain degree of courage, and I assume concern for your community, whether I agree with you or not. I thank you for that. I'm the pastor of the Presbyterian Church of Seffner. I can give you my zip code, 33594. I can also tell you that my commissioner is Christine Miller. Where are you? There you are. And I hope we have a chance to talk a little bit about hope. I'm not going to assume that all of you are Christian. I do assume that those of you who are understand Christ's call to us to care for our neighbor, and particularly the least of these. But I do believe that keeping the $10 million in the budget is about ethics, about ethical choices, and making sure that those very basic human needs are cared for in our community. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Geraldine Rogers Toombs, followed by John Ubel, and then a David Marino. Good evening.
Good evening. I am Geraldine Rogers Toombs. I come before you to appeal to your sense of compassion and the Christian motto, to love your neighbor as yourself. I'm here to request the County Commission invest $10 million in the Hope Fund for affordable housing in the upcoming fiscal year. There have been numerous articles locally and nationally about the urgent need for affordable housing. Even the City of Tampa City Council have put emphasis on that even today. At a previous budget hearing, a commissioner stated that the money budgeted for affordable housing would be better utilized for reducing homeowners' property taxes. The recommended amount of $30 to $60 in reductions on taxes would not have very much impact on a homeowner's standard of living. We really need to rethink this thing. The $10 million would be better utilized for helping struggling families and individuals in this county. Jesus said that Jesus said that you do to the least of these, you do it also unto me. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. John Ubel, followed by David Marino, and then a Dr. Cecilia Yoakum. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. The Lord that most of us in this room serve never once put the law ahead of compassion. You can read in all four Gospels. Never once did he put the law ahead of compassion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. David Marino. David here. If not, a Dr. Cecilia Yoakum. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you.
I'm Dr. Cecilia Yoakum. I am a licensed psychologist in Florida. I've been in Hillsborough County for the last, I think, 35 or 40 years, which dates me. But I've worked with the Agency for Persons with Disabilities. I've worked with juvenile detention. I've worked with the competency to stand trial for court cases. And so I've had a lot of experience. But the thing that really got to me was some years ago, I went to see a young person who was in jail. She was in jail. I think she was 13 or 14. She's lying on the floor of the jail. She'd just been brought in and thrown in there, and she is lying there crying. And you know what her crime was? She was laying under a tree when the police arrested her. And that was where she stayed for a while. And so she was able to get out fine. So we need to think about these people who are in these bad situations, too, in these bad situations. I went to another home out in Hillsborough County. The woman had a couple of children. There were no windows in the house, nothing in the house like that would keep the children from leaving out through the window. I saw young people who had no housing. They're walking around this town looking for some place that's safe to stay from the wind and the rain. They had nothing. There was one girl who was running from ice cream parlor to ice cream parlor just to stay out of the night and possibly be abused. So it's not just a connection of having housing, but having good housing, safe housing, where people are not afraid to be in their homes. They're not afraid to bring their children there. So we need to think about that. So
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to go back to Martin Racine, virtual. Is Martin on the line?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, my name is Martin Racine, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm a retired homeowner in Plant City, and I have a problem with subsidized housing. The cost of we got to really think about homeowners here too. The cost of homeownership is going through the roof. We know that. My property taxes on a modest 50-year-old, 2,000 square foot home recently jumped to $6,000 a year. That's more than double from just a few years ago. And rising costs of property insurance will further negatively impact home ownership. And then we'll begin to see an exodus, or at least a slowing down of the growth fueled by hardworking, middle-class taxpayers who have made this area such a vibrant destination. Homeowners too need affordable housing, and if not, we might really see a homeless problem. There could be a real problem on the horizon if some of these costs don't go down. And instead, it looks like they're going to go up. So I sympathize with those who decry the lack of affordable rental housing in the community. Unfortunately, that's a byproduct of a growing community attracting newcomers. Prices go up. I don't have all the answers, but subsidizing developers is a quick fix that is not sustainable. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. The last speaker this evening is Lama Alhausen. Circling back, she had trouble last time. Is Lama on the phone?
Yes, can y'all hear me?
Yes, good evening.
All right, thanks for coming back to me, I appreciate it. So I know we're obviously here to talk about the budget, and the budget is meant to be reflective of our priorities and what it means to be in communities. Our budget right now is not reflective of that. We supposedly say that we care about affordable housing, we care about taking care of our people, we care about making sure everybody stays safe. But clearly in things like gutting, like the HOPE program and ways for people to access safe housing, it's clearly showing that it's. We're also taking money from our budget and investing $100,000 in foreign businesses, not to mention genocidal businesses as well, but just the fact that there are foreign businesses instead of taking care of our people here. We have the money available And instead of spending money on things like FIBA, the Florida Israel Business Accelerator Program, we need to actually be spending it and taking care of our people. And instead of getting programs like HOPE, we need to actually invest in programs that genuinely take care of our people. We have seen time and time again that investment in our communities is what keeps us safe. Disinvesting from our communities leads to violence. And we see this constantly. And I think somebody mentioned earlier how the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office has also had some extremely violent situations. And we need to take care of our people, so invest in the people, take the money out of the box, and make sure that we actually prioritize it where we need it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, that closes public comment. Before asking for a motion to adopt the millage resolution, we'll go into board discussion. Are there any comments from board members? Commissioner Woolston?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Thank you. This will be brief, and I'll go back and re-enter the queue after my colleagues speak to submit my proposals. Recently, I received from county staff our new updated roads need list, and we're here today just about philosophical differences in understanding what our priorities are and what people elected us from. And my number one request in my office is always and has been sustained: when are you going to fix my road? This right here, and do note that these are only backlogs. I'm not going to go through them all. This is a 6-page document with 186 roads that are on our just localized repair program. Right there you can see, very tiny, 186. This much thicker document is our neighborhoods roads backlog. This list is 1,226 items long. These are only our backlogs. This list is our major roads backlogs, consisting of 512 items. This is a presentation from our Deputy County Administrator of Public Works. When presented this way, it looks really bad already. At 0.32% of our system annually is currently dedicated to properly maintaining all of the roads in Hillsborough County, saying at the low amount of $5.4 million available annually. And I believe, Administrator-wise, that that's just our gas tax. Is that correct?
There are other funds in the budget this year, you are correct.
Okay. I present it to you this way, where I converted all three of those large tables into a pivot table analysis. Our major roads backlog of unfunded roads is 2,487 miles, consisting of design estimate backlogs unfunded of $229.4 million. Planning level construction estimates of $1.494 billion. That's just for our major roads. Our neighborhood roads backlogs, which is what we consistently receive the most requests for, unfunded 3,402.69 lane miles for a total of $1.359 billion of unfunded needs in just our neighborhoods. Then to close it out with our localized road repairs, 30.44 unfunded lane miles of localized repairs needing $16.385 million. Colleagues, this brings our grand total unfunded needs to 5,921.31 lane miles, design costs and estimated costs of $1.6 billion, with an additional planning level construction costs unfunded of $1.55 billion, bringing in our total unfunded budget needs just for our backlog of roads maintenance and repair, not including capacity enhancements, road widening, etc., over $3 billion. Mr. Chair, the diameter of planet Earth is 8,000 miles. tunneling through the center of the Earth, we would land slightly west of Australia in the ocean. We are only 2,000 miles away of achieving a tunneled road through planet's Earth core almost to Australia if we continue at this pace. So at some point, this board must figure out what our priority is going to be, and if funding roads is a higher priority to benefit everybody in Hillsborough County, to increase the safety and mobility and job generating opportunities for all 1.55 million people living in Hillsborough County. I will reserve the rest of my time and speak after the rest of my colleagues. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Wostel. Commissioner Kemp.
Yes, I didn't know we had time limits, but I'd like to thank everyone for coming down tonight. As usual, you've been here and you've been real champions for so many people in this county that are facing really, really tough odds and difficult circumstances and have a lot of suffering. And I don't know, hearing about all the roads just made me think maybe we've overbuilt. But what we haven't overbuilt is affordable housing. It's just not available. We've shown that some 60,000 people need access to affordable housing, or 60,000, I think, units is what we've heard. We have a terrible affordable housing problem here. Truly a crisis. It's like a chronic disease that we've had for a long time here. And people can't contribute to the economy. People can't do things. People can't have good health if they don't have a place, a safe, a secure place, as someone said, good, safe housing to lay their heads down in and to take care of their families and to continue to live and prosper in Hillsborough County. As I think the Reverend Gabriel Morgan had a lot of information. He said that we had 1,300 new units provided by our Affordable Housing Fund. And one way it works is it might be $10 million, but $2 million of it might be leveraged, as I heard one example of it might provide leveraging for different grants, for different federal grants, for different organizations to contribute for projects that are like $40 million and providing a lot of housing and opportunities for people. As we've heard too, the Schimberg report that we're meeting 3% of the needs, and that's really the report that's so, it's really the word that we have, which tracks and studies the needs of people in the community. I'd like to say again that these are nonprofit developers that do these apartments. They aren't the for-profit developers. I think it's very important to know that. It's two different worlds, really. And that these programs are $10 million comes in assorted ways. It can be down payments on some people's houses to help them. It can be sometimes rehab. We heard an example of that tonight and how important that can be for keeping people in houses that are safe and good and watertight, which is so important here. It can be for seniors. It can be for disabled people. It can be for people that have mental or emotional disabilities. And every community has these people in them, people with these needs, and we cannot turn our backs on all these people in our community here in Hillsborough County. We can't, and I won't. I'd also like to know who generated the form letter. Has a lot of misinformation tonight. I know there was some talk about insurance. Yeah, my insurance has gone up incredibly. My home insurance, the medical insurance, the car insurance, but those are nothing that the county commission has any control over. And if it's housing insurance, which and auto insurance, really people need to be talking to the state of Florida and the governor. And I think the inadequate efforts and a lot of corruption that has gone on in that. I mean, I had my insurance more than doubled, and I've never had a claim in 40 years. So I know lots of people are getting hit really hard by insurance and really not so hard by our taxes. They're just not nearly the hit that people are taking as they're taking for insurance and those other needs. I'll also say that providing more affordable housing, and this is what the studies say, and I think that Reverend Justin LaRosa said this, but when you have more affordable housing, you have more opportunities for people to live in affordable housing, and it creates more competition to bring down prices for landlords and others who may be overcharging for their property, and that's what the evidence shows, and that's what we know. And also the fact that, you know, these are moral and ethical choices that we make. That's what our budget is. And, you know, I think I've shared this before, but I grew up very, very Catholic family. And I was told over and over again, you know, love thy neighbor as thyself. I am my brother's keeper. We have to look out for the least of those. And I heard a lot of that sentiment tonight and wholeheartedly believe in it. Our $10 million is not a huge amount. And by the way, the Sadowski funds that sometimes people talk about, over and over and over again, the state budget has swept them. We haven't gotten them many, many, many years. And that's one of the reasons we looked at doing this to kind of put on the county some investment in that we weren't getting. And it's been an amazing opportunity for us to leverage funds from federal, from state, from private. It's been a great job, and I'm glad that we have housed some thousands of people with what we've done, and I hope we could keep doing that. But thank you all for coming down and, you know, educating us and sharing your stories and your hearts and hearing. I'm glad to have that. To hear that out tonight. Thank you.
Commissioner Wilstel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I do thank all of the speakers. I will also be submitting electronically to the record the almost 400 emails that the commissioners received asking for us to not fund the HOPE budget. Many times over, we make decisions. I've heard this board in the past make decisions saying, I'll quote, well, 71 showed up in support, 63 showed up in opposition, so I will go ahead and move for support. Thank you for laughing and knowing who you are. I do understand that there's many needs, and there's an endless amount of needs that are in this county, and really this commission just has to figure out what our priorities are. The HOPE Fund is a tax. It is $10 million a year of property taxes on our residents of Hillsborough County. It is an ever-increasing burden and barrier to cost of entry, to home ownership, and an ever-increasing cost of burden for home ownership for those that already own their homes. I would like to, Mr. Chair, get some clarification on what do you need for us to have the county administrator to bring us back some different options? Do you just need a motion?
Honestly, I don't think a motion is necessary, but I think that might help to give just a little more direction. If we have a motion just to direct the administrator to bring back different options or scenarios. So I think that'd be wise.
Okay. And since I tried to do them bulk last time, I'm just going to do individual ones this time around because it's not clear on which parts of my item were not liked. So we have a standing board policy, I don't remember the number right now, that says that we will, it's mentioned in our budget in the first text part, that we will maintain budgeted reserves of 20 to 25%. That's correct? The countywide, even though the blended amount is only 23, the countywide budget is 24.6% of the countywide capital funds, and the unincorporated is at 21%, but the countywide is at 24.6%. Is that correct?
That's correct, Commissioner.
Okay. It was hard to tell based off of the total amounts and what the reserve number was, but from my calculation, the countywide reserves are about $315 million.
Yes.
Okay, so then is that fair to say that a 1% of the countywide reserve is somewhere around $12 million?
Roughly.
Roughly. And a 0.1 millage rate of the countywide budget is $16.8 million. Is that correct?
16.8, yes. 0.1 mils.
0.1 mil is 16.8. I would motion to direct the county attorney, because our budgeted reserves are there to maintain our coveted AAA bond rating. That gets mentioned very often in here. And that is achieved through our strong reserve position of between 20 to 25%. Is that correct?
That is a factor in the rating agency's ratings.
Okay. This motion would reduce the overall budget and impact on our community. This motion would increase the cost of home affordability for all 600,000 plus homes in Hillsborough County and all 1.55 million residents of Hillsborough County. It would increase their access to affordable food as well, because oftentimes we forget to mention the commercial aspects of property taxes that also go to everyday goods and services that business owners pay either as a lease through their pass-through of their triple net lease to their landlord, or because they outright own the building, and they are not protected like homes are from the cap on price increases. So when we raise the property values and raise the property tax impact on them, they have to raise their cost of doing business and pass that on to the consumer, including in our grocery stores. I would motion to direct the county attorney to bring back an option of reducing the countywide reserves from 24.6% to 21%. And I guess as she brings that back, clearly demonstrate how much money it would be reducing of property tax burden on the taxpayers of Hillsborough County.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Wostall. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Cameron Cepeda. Any comments on the motion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Myers.
Yes, Commissioner Myers.
I'd like to ask the county administrator or the county attorney. First, let me thank all those who spoke regarding the budget tonight. Thank you for taking time to come. But my question is on the motion that just was made, how would this affect, since we've advertised our budget and all, and we have a scheduled public hearing next week on September the 19th, how would this affect what we've already said to the public about the budget? If either the county administrator or staff or county attorney's office can answer that for me, please.
From what I understand, it's to bring it back to the next budget hearing to do the math and I would suggest too, to provide any kind of ramifications that would have in addition to doing the math. But I think just providing the information next week, would it impact the advertisement at all?
You said it will or will not?
Will not.
It would not.
Okay. So will we get a briefing prior to what we're bringing back to the board instead of waiting until we have the public hearing on next Thursday night in regard to what he's asking staff to bring back?
I think that would be wise.
That would be helpful, I think.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other comments on the motion, Commissioner Cohen?
As wonderful as this might sound, I think this is not just highly irregular, but very, very concerning to go from 24.6 to 21. That is a red flag to the bond markets that we are not good fiscal stewards. And I think that our bond ratings could very well be negatively impacted by that large of a shift in our policy. And I am very concerned that if the board were to go in this direction, that the cost to the taxpayers of any kind of degrading of our bond rating could be in the, it could result in a huge amount of money. So because I consider myself fiscally prudent and because I am concerned about the taxpayers, I think looking at a reduction of that size is just not supportable.
Commissioner Wilson, and then we'll vote.
Thank you. This is simply a recommendation, and we are staying completely in line with our budgeted reserve policies of 20 to 25%, which is the consistent recommendations that we've heard are required to maintain a AAA bond rating. This is not breaching that. That is simply bringing it down to the same amount that the unincorporated reserves are budgeted at. And this is simply a recommendation.
All right, so we got a motion and a second. Please record your vote.
No. Commissioner Myers?
Motion carried 4-3. Commissioner Cohen, Kemp, and Myers voted no.
And Commissioner Wilson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I will make an additional motion for the county administrator to bring back a recommendation of reallocation of the $10 million of HOPE funds and what alternatives that could be spent on that are already existing projects in Hillsborough County. Simply a recommendation be brought back to the next hearing on the 19th.
All right, motion, Commissioner Wilson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Cameron Cepeda. Commissioner Cohen, you want to speak on the motion?
Well, I'm going to vote no on the motion, and I'll speak when we discuss it during either the discussion next week or not, but I will definitely be voting no on the motion.
Okay. Please record your vote on the motion.
Commissioner Myers, no.
Motion carried 4-3. Commissioners Cohen, Kemp, and Myers voted no.
Commissioner Wilson, do you have another motion?
Just this is my last one for the county administrator to bring back a recommendation of defunding future career academies in the nonprofit funding budget list.
All right, so we have a motion, Commissioner Wilson. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second, Commissioner Miller. So anyone in the queue, please record your vote.
Commissioner Myers, no.
Motion carried 4-3. Commissioners Cohen, Kemp, and Myers voted no.
All right. Commissioner Wilson, do you have any additional motions?
That's it, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Miller.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chair. I also wanted to say thank you for everyone taking their time to come and speak. I know it's late and it's the middle of the week, and I do appreciate it. I appreciate mostly that you were kind in addressing us. It is definitely appreciated. My question is actually more on procedural, and I'm struggling with it, so I'm going to ask it publicly. So, being new to this process, and perhaps this is a procedural that I should have been, brought up to speed. I'm not exactly sure, but I got an email around 12:06. So I'm coming into a budget meeting that I'm preparing to discuss items, and I get an email, and midway through the email it says, therefore, we would ask the board to please not take votes tonight on any proposed budget changes. I, like apparently all of these people, thought we were going to be discussing budget changes tonight and making decisions on them. And so I know that we addressed it at the beginning, and then Bonnie, you also addressed it, but I'm not understanding why we couldn't in a timing manner. I understand you say, well, there's statute that said today, it's already been presented. Well, why didn't we just back the meetings up and make it appropriate where we could address some changes today so that we're not leaving everything for the very last day? It's just, I need help understanding that.
And Bonnie, before you answer that,
Okay.
I just want to say one thing. And the reason for that email, maybe on me, because I had a briefing earlier and I said, are the other commissioners, and Bonnie verified this is correct, I said, are the other commissioners aware that we're not voting? And then I think you said something to the effect of, well, we'll say that again when we send out the flag list or something like that. So that might be partially my responsibility that it came out so late, but that's how that kind of came about, as I recall. And with that,
Yeah, so just to clarify, we absolutely want you to discuss any changes. So what we're saying is, please discuss, please share this information, please have a discussion amongst yourselves. You heard from the public, you're going to hear from the public again. All we're saying is, please don't vote on those changes just yet, because we want to be able to hear them. It's just the way the ad works and the statutory requirement for putting in an ad for the paper for the budget hearing for next week. Because of the lead time on the paper, that ad has already been submitted to the newspaper. So we're just saying, please don't do anything that's going to change the budget from what we have already advertised, because otherwise what we're advertising is not correct. But as far as discussing changes, absolutely. Please, we want to hear them. Please share with us.
I understand that. The question is why? Why can't we just back that up? So then when I asked the question why, the answer was, well, because we can't have our meeting until after Hillsborough County Public Schools has their meeting, and to which was completed on the 5th. So that left a lot of days between September 5th and today where we could have discussed this and had actual changes. So I guess what I'm saying is, we will be looking at a finalized budget essentially based on recommendations that we can only discuss but not vote on today on the day we have to vote on them. And I just feel like that is, we're talking about a very large multi-billion-dollar budget, and I just feel like there should be more timing for that.
Yes, I mean, I think when it comes to the calendar in September, there are some restrictions when it comes to Florida statute. One of them is that we can't have the public hearing on the same time that the school board does. The school board has the first choice. There are, as we look at the calendar and as the county calendar is built, there is also trying to avoid certain religious holidays. There is a number of things that come into that in addition to the statute. But certainly when we look at the calendar, and the calendar for next year will be looked at, I believe it's usually in October, I think. And we'll see if we can build in some more time. I can't guarantee it.
So we have an opportunity to perhaps change this process for next year.
Well, we have.
So I'm just going to go, like, for one example, there, I'm the president of the Plant City Chamber of Commerce, and I have $25,000 in here. I would have asked for that to be removed. I believe I already actually did ask for it to be removed. Even if I wanted to have it removed today and vote on it today, it's still going to be in the budget that's presented to the paper. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like there was opportunity to make sure that the actual budget that is being presented to the public and the public notice would be more accurate if we'd back those days up and actually had time to do it. And then there would just be a second series of changes for the final budget, I guess, is where I'm just saying. And we can revisit it. I know we can't change it now, but for me, it was pretty unsettling today that I've been preparing for this and then told within hours before the meeting that we would be voting on nothing.
If I can also say, so when we presented the budget on the 17th, and then some changes were made to the budget on July 31st. Now, granted, you were here for 3 minutes then, so you were certainly, catching up. But there were some changes that were made on July 31st at the flag meeting day, and we incorporated that into the budget, so that could be done at that time too. So we had various meetings that we could do it. And if you want to make the change and propose regarding Plant City, we can hear you. We can bring that back next time too. We're just saying, let's not vote on it today, but we want to hear that kind of feedback, please.
Well, my feedback would be that we'll be looking hopefully together at that, the scheduling and the timing of it for next year, and I appreciate you helping me understand that. I guess what my specific request would be is, like those changes that we made on the 31st of July, having a second opportunity to do that before we get to the final, I think is a very reasonable request. With that, I would like to direct staff to remove the $25,000 for the Plant City Chamber. We haven't used that money in a few years, and it needs to be removed from the recurring budget, please.
We can bring that back next time too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Before adopting the millage and budget resolutions, we must publicly announce the following. The name of the taxing authority is the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners. The aggregate rolled back rate is 8.5785 mils. The proposed aggregate tentative millage rate of 8.8377 mils represents a 3.02% increase in the aggregate rolled back rate. The tentative millage rates to be levied are countywide general revenue, 5.6309 mils, unincorporated area municipal services taxing unit, 4.4745 mils, library services, 0.5583 mils, voted general obligation depth for environmentally sensitive lands, 0.0604 mils, voted general obligation depth for unincorporated area parks and recreation, 0.0259 mils. At this point, it is appropriate to entertain a motion to adopt the millage resolution as presented by staff. Moved. Motion, Commissioner Cohen. Do I have a second?
Commissioner Myers?
Second, Commissioner Myers. I don't see anyone in the queue, so please record your vote.
Yes, Commissioner Myers.
Motion carried 7-0.
Okay, now that the tentative millage resolution has been adopted, it is appropriate to entertain a motion to adopt the budget resolution as presented by staff. Motion, Commissioner Cohen. Do you have a second?
Second, Commissioner Myers.
We're second by Commissioner Myers. Please record your vote.
Yes, Commissioner Myers.
Commissioner Kemp? Motion carried 7-0.
All right, so that concludes tonight's budget public hearing. The date, time, and place of the final public hearing will be 6 p.m. on Thursday, September 19th, 2024, in the County Commission Boardroom on the second floor of the County Center, 601 East Kennedy Boulevard, Tampa, Florida, 33602. And everyone, thank you for coming out and joining us tonight. We're adjourned.